Lives, perfect, by going live on Facebook and YouTube, mostly just because I want to be more efficient. Well, Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome to 2022. I am excited for this three-part series that we are about to get started with. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Madison Dubroff. I am the founder of a online program called Health by Ratio. It consists of my team and I, of licensed physical therapists, corrective exercise specialists, and functional health coaches, and we specialize in taking holistic approaches toward our clients' health and fitness goals. So we really work with people that desire to want to continue to live a long and active life, whether that is in sports that they're passionate about and performing at their highest levels, whether that is just staying fit and active in their later years and keep up with the kids and grandkids, or anything in between. And so we help people rehabilitate from recurring injuries, tweaks, pains, that kind of stuff, while also moving them holistically toward whatever their activity goals are. So whether that's sports, whether that's fitness, whether that is something in between, that's what we're passionate about. And in this three-part series, we're going to talk about how to prepare the body, and we're going to break it up into three chunks. How to prepare the body for our New Year's resolutions, as many of us like to get started with the turn of the new year. So we're going to be going into the ankles, which will really encompass the feet and ankles, and knees today. That's going to be our primary focus, and we're going to be covering the specific mobility techniques that I would say not only do our like really active clients do, but almost everybody does that we work with. Like, these things that we're going to cover today are massive staples for almost everyone. They either are doing every single one of these techniques or at least several of them, because they're that important. Because our feet and our ankles and our knees are things that we use for everything, whether we are like, we want to get back into running, or we want to be bike riding, or whether we want to be hitting the slopes, or if we just want to be able to walk the dogs or go for hikes or that kind of stuff. Obviously, any kind of sport, any kind of activity that we're doing, we're essentially on our feet, and we need these things to be healthy for us, to prevent us from getting tweaks and injuries and all that good stuff to obviously these regions of the body, but also the feet, ankles, the knees, these tissues around there set the rest of our body up for success too. So if we're dealing with hip and back issues or neck and shoulder issues, it's often stemming from down below. So that's why we're working our way from the ground up in this three-part series. Tomorrow we're going to be going through the core. We're going to be talking about the hips and the back and getting those guys prepared. And then the final of the three-part series is going to be around the shoulders and the neck. So that's what we're going to be keying in on. These, like I said, are going to be focused on mobility techniques, not necessarily exercises. I'm trying to just get the body nice and loose and prepared and get tension out of it so that it feels good and it's not going to be so locked up and tight, and where we're just going to start hitting the road and trying to run our mile or two or three to get started with the year and just pound the body and beat us up. So that's the whole purpose of this series. Obviously, I am live on both Facebook and YouTube. If you guys have any questions while this is going on, feel free to type them in the chats. I am a little bit further away from the screens right now. Like, I am seeing people pop on and say hi. Like, if you guys are live, feel free to give me a thumbs up, say hi, wave hi, all that good stuff. I will see you when I get a little bit closer to the screen. I need to go in and out of this, but I want you to be able to see my body so that when we're going into these mobility techniques, you can see what I'm doing and all that good stuff. But if you have questions, feel free to type them in the chat. If you're watching the recording of this video after the fact, like if you guys are checking this out, still give me a thumbs up and let me know that you're watching the replay. If you have questions, feel free to still type them into the chat, because I'll be checking these and my team and I will be on top of any comments that come in, so we'll be able to help you guys and answer your questions and all that good stuff even in the coming days. All right, so we're talking about, like I said, feet, ankles, and knees. And for this particular series, you're not going to need very much equipment, but if you got a foam roller, that would be handy to have next to you. If you have a trigger point ball, like a lacrosse ball, that would be great to have. If you like myself for maybe the Christmas, you asked for a massage gun, yeah, you can get one of these guys out and have that handy for you. That could be a great alternative. If you don't have this equipment, don't worry, you're still going to get benefit of this. You can do these things with your hands. You can do a self massage with your hands in place of it, or you can do this with like. If you have a tennis ball, a golf ball, instead of a foam roller, like a sturdy water bottle, like a metal water bottle, that kind of thing, those things can work. If the thing that you're using is really intense, like it's really hard, it's really gnarly, feel free to just like take a blanket or a towel and lay it on top of that. So if you're like using a really firm water bottle that's a little bit more intense than a foam roller and it feels pretty gnarly, lay a towel over it. Once or twice, like fold it up on top and it'll soften it up and all that good stuff. So that's the minimal equipment, and the stretches that we're going to do at the end are just going to not going to need any equipment, so it'll be pretty simple for that. Now, the reason, like I said, why the ankles and feet and knees are so prevalent is because it's tied to the rest of the body, and it's because we use it in basically every activity that we do. And like I said, the techniques that we're about to go through are staples for essentially all of our clients, but especially our runners, because of all of our clients that we're working with, whether they're like people that want to walk and hike, or whether they're like they want to play tennis or whatever, our runners are probably the ones that pound the feet and ankles and knees the most. Like they're putting on the most mileages. They're really beating themselves up. So that's a huge demographic of people that we work with. And these kind of protocols are what allowed clients in 2021 to hit their resolutions. Like we had several runners get out of recurring pains, get back to training pain-free, so that they were able to PR, get personal records, personal bests in half marathons and marathons. Like clients like Nurit and Orly and Angie, and Nell, they cut off, like some of them like Nell, I think, cut off like 90 seconds off of her average mile, and it was because she became a more efficient runner. But and that had to do with like the corrective techniques that we did and the workout programs that we created for them. But also it started with this mobility work. That was how things like perineal issues or Achilles issues, recurring calf injuries, plantar fasciitis, knee tweaks from ACL, MCL, patella tendonitis, all the above, like that's how they were able to get on top of these injuries and allow the body to actually repair. Or it was how our clients like Risto and Suzanne and Melly and like several others that weren't able to run. They had taken most of 2020 off of running, if not all of it, because they were in too much pain, and were able to get back into running and training and get back to, like, Risto completed an ultra marathon last year. Like several of our clients are running several times a week. One of our other AGs is doing the same thing, and they're feeling amazing doing so. And it's because of this stuff that we're about to do. So without further ado, without hyping this up anymore, I think it's about time that you guys, by now you're like, got it, Madison, this is important. Let's get started. So we're going to work with, first and foremost, this foam roller. So if this thing's collecting cobwebs, feel free to grab it, dust it off. I'm going to just get a little bit, I know I'm wearing black and I have a black foam roller, so this thing can kind of blend. So let's do this, and eventually I'll be using my foot so you guys can see me a little bit better. And what I'm going to do for this is each of these areas, guys, you can spend several minutes on that we're going to work through. What we're basically trying to do is give ourselves a deep tissue massage. So we're trying to find the hurt so good spot in this first area, our calf, that is like a 7 out of 10 on the Richter scale of pain. So for some of us, just by laying this leg right here, that's going to be intense enough. I'm like, yep, we're at a 7 out of 10. Now, often the big hot spot for many of us is kind of this outside corner of the calf itself. So to get to that, if you turn our foot to about 45 degrees out and you work just a couple inches under the knee, that's normally a really good area to work through. Now, if you aren't feeling much, whether you're straight on, whether you're out to the side, whether you have the foot to the inside, sometimes the inside of the calf is what needs love. If you aren't feeling it right under the knee, if you work more towards the middle, like kind of high Achilles region, that's more the soleus, but that's also another hot spot that connects to the calf and the Achilles. So that might be more of your region to work through. If you're not finding it though with just body weight, get your other leg and just position it on top. Just by adding that little extra weight, you're probably going to be effective enough. Now, if that's still not effective, you're probably going to want something more acute than your foam roller. So now get out a trigger point ball instead, a softball or a baseball or something like that. That's going to be intense enough. Or if you have a massage gun, you could get to this area with probably best by taking a knee and relaxing your foot, and you can be pressing this guy right into the back of your calf, just like so. But what we're going to do is we're going to find this hot spot, and we want to commit to working on it for as long as it takes for this thing to go from that 7 out of 10 on the Richter scale of pain to the it's relaxed a little bit. Now, it's not going to be totally gone, especially the calf. It's a dense tissue. So often it might go from like a 7 out of 10 to a 5 out of 10 or a 3 out of 10 or whatever. We still might feel something, but it's not going to be as painful. So that's what we're searching for right now. And I'm going to do each of these areas for just 1 minute. I'm going to time them and then move on to the next spot. But for many of you, especially some of these stubborn areas in the calves, you might have to work on this thing for much longer. Like you might be working on this thing for 3, 4, 5 minutes. So feel free to keep going onto a spot if it needs the love. But otherwise, we're going to transition every minute or so. So I'm going to start now. I'm going to find my hot spot, and I'm just going to get whatever weight, whatever pressure I need on this area. And I'm going to immediately start breathing through my belly, my diaphragm. This is a staple that we teach all of our clients, is breathe through your belly because it relaxes the nervous system and it starts to calm us down to get us ready to release some of this tension out of this big gnarly calf right now, this hurt so good gunk that I'm trying to release out of. And then I'm going to also start incorporating some movements and contractions and relaxations and all that kind of stuff. For the purpose of this video today, I'm not going to go into the kind of nitty gritties of what we teach in terms of like contractions and relaxations, but a thing that gets us a long way is just moving. So right now, just by me doing some ankle circles and moving my foot around, I'm creating movement and extra blood flow to this area. I can also scrub into it or massage into this area and go up and down or side to side, which will help me get some more friction to it and get that nice hurt so good sensation like if we're getting a deep tissue massage right now. And hopefully, it's about a minute right now, we get some type of release and relax. If you want to keep working on this, you're more than welcome to, but otherwise I'm just gonna switch to the other leg real quick. Probably gonna hit similar area. Yeah, I got that kind of outside corner of my calf. Apply that pressure. And again, first thing I'm doing is just breathing deeply through my diaphragm. Feel that belly as you breathe in, expand. Feel it contract and pull in as you exhale. Breathe through that belly. Feel free to start moving that ankle around, toe points, toe pulls. We can again scrub side to side in that. That gets that nice cross fiber friction. We can move up and down on it. Now I'm not going very far. You see, like it's more like I'm kind of kneading into the area. I'm not like rolling up and down on this guy. I'm focusing on one spot. I want to really effectively release just one area. Even if you got a million knots along this thing, or a million pieces of gunk, tight tissue that you could work through, just commit to one today and work that guy. It's much better to get one really effectively than the whole leg. Otherwise, you can spend all freaking day on one little muscle because you can find one here and here and here and here and here and here, and each one takes several minutes. It's a pain in the neck. All right, now that's the two calves that we got going. The next area we're going to work through is the lateral components of this calf. Now there's a lot of tissues around here. There's the anterior tibialis, there's the perineal, there's the posterior tibialis, and all kinds of stuff that we can be working through. Now, I'm not going to pinpoint any of them. We're just going to say this side or this side. And we can do this with our hands. Like we can take our fingers and drag them along the sides of our shins or along the side of this leg here, down the back side of the ankle between the ankle bone and the Achilles. Any of these areas could be some really good hot spots, especially if we tend to pronate when we walk or run. And I can also take my thumb and drive into the inside of these areas. Or we could do this with a couple of pieces of equipment. So I could do this with my foam roller, having my legs sideways on it, and then having like my trigger point ball on top, and I could sandwich this guy and have one guy working from the inside, one guy working from the outside, and I can be right around the ankle working on this region, or I can go all the way up. Even better would be if I have two trigger point balls, like right here, I got a peanut. This is like two lacrosse balls connected together. And I'm gonna lay that on the downside because now I have one part of this ball on the front section of my lower leg and the other part is on the backside section. And I'm gonna take my other ball and I'm gonna sandwich it. And now I'm gonna start my timer. And same thing, breathe through the belly first. We're just breathing, we're trying to kind of embrace that hurt so good pain. I can start wedging this ball by just kind of rotating into it. This is creating some skin friction where I'm pulling the skin away from the tissue, creating better blood flow to the area. We're trying to restore better blood flow to these sticky, gunked up tissues. Then I can start moving my foot and ankle. No right or wrong direction, just work through the ranges of motion. Keep breathing through that belly as you do so. And I can start moving my leg up and down a little bit, getting some scrubbing. I can go side to side, like this way along my ball or foam roller and get some good friction in there. If I was doing this with my hands, obviously you're just massaging yourself, so you're kind of like kneading into the area like some dough and get that thing released. And we're coming up on a minute right about now. So then switching to the other side, getting into this. Now I should have mentioned this at the beginning, guys. We have, I think, 5 spots. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe actually just 4. So each of these we'll be doing for just a couple of minutes, for both sides. Same thing though, sandwich that guy, feel that hurt so good tension, breathe through the belly, start scrubbing into this guy, start massaging into it, start moving the foot and ankle, getting these things released, getting that tension out of it, restoring that blood flow back to the foot and ankle region. Keep breathing deeply. And again, if you guys have any questions and if anything, like in this self-massage rule of thumb, one of the simplest things, Kelly Starrett actually coined this quote, and I love it because it's so simple. His statement is always, if it's sketchy, if it feels sketchy, it's sketchy. He's a famous physical therapist. He has a great podcast called The Ready State, and tons of textbooks and all that good stuff. And for mobility work on your body, if it feels sketchy, it's sketchy. Meaning if it feels nervy, if it does not feel like it hurts so good, 7 out of 10 like of pain like you would get from a nice deep tissue massage, if it's really gnarly, if you're getting radiating pain up and down, if it feels like you're pushing on a bone, not on soft tissue, it's sketchy. Get off of that thing and adjust. Move to another spot. Move that ball an inch. Move it to another position and re-engage and go a little bit less intense. Use something a little softer, whatever it might be. All right, that's our first 2. The next one, I feel like I'm missing a spot on my list. So let me refer to my notes for today. And no, we did actually have everything that I wanted. All right, so next is the bottom of the feet. So we got our calf/Achilles. We got these lateral components of the lower leg. Now we're gonna get the bottoms of the feet here, the plantar fascia line. And so many of us have dealt with plantar fasciitis or at least plantar fascia type symptoms. And the beauty is this one is really easy to do, and we can actually do this even throughout our day if we want to. Like if we're sitting at our computer or watching some TV on the couch or whatever, we just take a ball. This could be a tennis ball, it could be a golf ball. You could use a water bottle. I got my lacrosse ball right here, but we're going to simply put this thing right into the bottom of our foot between the ball of the foot and the heel itself. We got this kind of like 6-inch by 2-3-inch window, and we can work through any hot spots, any trigger points along this area we can be working through here. So again, just like the other areas of the body, we're going to commit to one. Just find one and we're going to release that guy. And how I'm going to do this while sitting, most of us, you're probably going to need more pressure than just having the weight of your leg. This might be intense enough as is for some of us, but otherwise I'm going to take my arms and I'm going to push down on this thing, or I'm going to lean the full weight of my elbows here. If I really want some intensity, I could stand up and I could put a heck of a lot more tension on here. But for the most part, just by leaning on this, it's going to be good enough. And since I went for a couple of runs this weekend, my bottoms of my feet are a little bit tight, so this is a good thing for me to release today. Find your hot spot. Again, as always, start breathing through your belly. Use that diaphragm. Calm the nervous system down. Oh, I should probably have started my timer already. And we're going to, from here, start wiggling our toes. Just pulling the toes up and pushing them down. That's creating movement and creating blood flow, restoring better blood flow to these tissues. I can also start rolling a little bit up and down. I can also move side to side into it, but I'm not moving off of the area. I'm just massaging into it, all the while still breathing through that belly. Getting as much blood flow to that area as possible. Now, the foot is such dense tissue. Again, this is one of those areas that can take way longer than a minute, and that's why I kind of recommend that we do this while we're just watching TV, or while we're on the phone, or while we're sitting at our desk or whatever. You can just kind of mindlessly work an area for several minutes, and it'll finally eventually release and relax. But we just hit our minute on this side. Let's move, for the sake of speed on this video, let's move to the next. Finding our hot spot on the other side, wherever that might be. Sometimes one spot is going to be totally different on the left versus the right. So you might find one right next to the heel versus the other one's going to be next to the ball of foot. Maybe the whole thing feels like one big brick and it's all tight and you can work any of it. Whatever it is, wherever you got a spot that you want to work through, just commit to it. One a day is a great rule of thumb. If you want to do more, you're an overachiever and good for you, but otherwise one a day is great. So we got our breath going on, we start moving our toes, we're going to massage into this area, front to back, side to side, whatever feels like we're getting that hurt so good, friction into it. Keep breathing, focusing on getting that area to release that tension, release and relax, so it won't be quite as painful at that point. Keep working through this guy for just about 5 more seconds. I'm just going to get a little bit closer. I see some comments coming in. I think it's just Tony and Anna saying good morning. I see Terry over here saying good morning. Hey guys. Now, let's finish up that foot. And then we're going to hit one more area on the body. Now we're going up toward the knees. Everything else, obviously this area around the bottom of the foot and everything below this knee makes an impact to how this knee functions. So all this is really important for the knees themselves. Because if my ankle is locked up, my knee is going to be doing stuff that it's not supposed to. If we're pronating like crazy, that's going to cause my knee to go inward and it's going to irritate the heck out of that ACL, MCL, meniscus region. So everything that we've done already has been for the knees as much as it's been for our feet and ankles. But we're now going to do something specifically to the knee, and we're going to hit somewhere along this section on top of above our kneecap. So we can be working on the inside range of this knee. That's the adductor region. That's probably going to be, for most of us, the most intense area. The other one can be right above the quad. That's a suprapatellar pouch. And if we have things like patella tendonitis, this might be the area that needs a lot of love. Or we can be working a bit more toward the 45-degree edge. Now, a lot of people work the IT band itself. For today's purposes, I don't recommend the IT band. I recommend the quad itself, which is kind of the 45-degree corner, not the dead side of the IT band. The IT band is really dense. It's a full thick line of fascia. It's tough to release. So we're going to stick to the muscle tissue itself, which is going to give us the most bang for our buck for the time that we're working on it. And by us releasing this quad, it's actually going to create some slack to that IT band. So we're going to get some improvements to that area too. Now, we can do this with a foam roller. We can also do this with the trigger point ball. We can do this with our massage gun working into this area. Or we can do this with our hands, like just digging in. But I'm going to use the foam roller for this today. And we're going to lay on our stomachs and position this guy underneath one of the legs. And like I said, this can be with the, let me scoot up a little bit. This can be with the foot straight down. We can turn the foot out more toward the side, or we can pivot it inside a little bit and get that outside edge of the quad. Whatever feels like we need the most love there. So for me today, it's really that inner thigh is what I want to work through. So I'm gonna kind of angle my foot out to the side a little bit, and I'm gonna relax myself. I'm gonna get into as comfortable a position with my upper body and neck as I can, and I'm just gonna start breathing through the belly. And for this area, I can start moving the legs side to side. So I'm kind of scrubbing side to side into the area, getting some cross fiber friction. I can move a little bit up and down. I'm not going like crazy, just an inch or two. I can also bend and extend my knee a little bit, creating that extra blood flow, encouraging this area to release and relax. Wherever your hot spot is, whether it's on the top or the outside component of it, doesn't matter. Same thing. You're still bending and extending. You're still scrubbing side to side or up and down. You can hit all these areas with the same technique. And we've got about 15 more seconds here, but if again, this is really gnarly, you want to work on it longer, you're more than welcome to. If you want to hit more areas around this, like if you want to get the inside of the leg and the top and the outside component and really get some good mobility around that knee itself, more than welcome to. And time. Moving to the next spot. I'll do a 180 real quick. And same thing for me. Yep, that adductor is a good area for me to work through, that inner thigh. Start my timer, get comfortable, start breathing deeply through my belly. Start moving a little bit, that leg, getting that scrubbing into the area. Almost done. Bend and extend our knee here. And once we're finished with this, guys, we're going to finish with just a couple of quick stretches. One for the quads, and then the other is going to be for the ankles, for the calves and the Achilles, basically. No equipment will be needed for it. Almost done here. And guys, by the way, so the next part 2, like I said, tomorrow is going to be for the hips and the back. Part 3 is going to be for the shoulders and the neck. I highly recommend do not just do one of these 3 parts. Don't just do the ankles and feet and the knees because that's your problem child. And you're like, all right, I prepared my ankles and feet. Now my plantar fasciitis is ready to go. Now I can run again. Now my knee is good to go. Now I can run. I can ignore the rest of it. No. All of this is connected. There is no one part of your body that isn't connected to another part. There's no one tissue that's responsible for everything by itself. The only maybe exception to that is if someone came, like if you got a little kid that visited you over the holidays and they came with a toy baseball bat and they whacked you right in the knee, okay, well then maybe that tissue is the only reason why you're hurting. But if this stemmed from some type of tweak or injury or thing that you've dealt with in the past that has caused you to either compensate after that injury, or maybe you had imbalances leading up to that injury that you weren't aware of that caused the injury. Maybe there's a combo of those 2 things. That means that the other tissues above and below had to adjust. Had to. There's other things in your body that have to compensate and have to fire differently and have to tighten up. And so if we just work these areas and ignore the rest of the body, that's doing what so many of us fall into in terms of the symptom chasing cycles, where we go and we get treatments, maybe physical therapy, maybe chiropractic work, maybe we are doing some acupuncture, or maybe we're just doing this kind of self-massage work, but we're chasing the symptom, we're working the injury itself or the tweak itself, which is important to a certain extent. You need to do that, especially initially when you first get really tweaked, really injured. But then we miss the rest of the body, so we forget to solve the root causes of it or the after effects that are creating imbalances. Like so many of our clients come to us and they're like, I know I'm not walking well and I know I'm not running well, but I don't know how I'm running and I don't know how to fix it. All I've been told is that my right ankle pronates, but I don't know why and I don't know how to fix it. So it stems from the whole body. And unless we address the whole body, then we're just chasing those symptoms and we're setting ourselves up for repeated tweaks. Maybe it's the same spot, maybe it's a random spot, but they're all interconnected. So I highly recommend getting through parts 2 and 3 coming up in the coming days, even if you have to watch the replays, because you need to make sure that you're getting the entire body holistically. That's what really sets, I think, our program up apart from most, and why so many of our clients were able to hit their 2021 goals and have been able to maintain their health themselves, simply because they take a holistic view of how their body performs. So without further ado, let's finish off with a couple of stretches. So stretches are fast. We can do this in about 30 to 45 seconds. And the first one we're going to do is just a quad stretch. We can lay down on our back here, grab our, or on our side, I should say, grab your ankle and just kind of pull back. You can position that leg all the way on the ground if you want. You can lay back down towards the ground a little bit more if you'd like. You can have the knee a little bit more up if that's really tight, or you can point the knee a little bit more down to the ground. You'll feel a little bit of a different tension in the quad itself. Wherever it is, just breathe into it. And as you're doing this for about 10-15 seconds, you might be able to pull the leg a little bit further back. If you can, do so a little bit. And we're coming up on about 30 seconds now. If you want to do this a little bit longer, you're more than welcome to. And then we'll switch to the other side. If we got some of our Health by Ratio clients actually doing this, instead of this stretch, you can do the couch stretch right now, which is a much more intense quad stretch, but very effective. But for the purposes of our video today, I figured this was an easier version to get our quads. You could also do this standing if you wanted. I just kind of like to do this laying down on the ground because you don't have to worry about the balance aspect of it while we're stretching out this front thigh. And we're about the 15-second mark on this side, so keep breathing through the belly. If you want to pull a little bit deeper into that stretch, feel free to do so. And we're coming up on our time here. Let's now get into the last stretch, which is going to be the calf and or Achilles. Now for this, you can't just do this standing, and you could position your foot behind you and then get into a stretch this way. I think it's a little bit easier if you can just have something to slightly elevate the front of your foot. This could be a step, like if you're dropping your heel off of a stair. Obviously I'd be standing here and then dropping my heel down. It could be your foam roller if you want to wedge your foot up onto your foam roller like so. I'm just going to use my little pad here. It's just a couple inches off the ground, and that's good enough for this stretch. So I'm going to position my foot dead straight. That's really important for this stretch. Many of us will start this stretch with the foot turned out, the heel angled in and the toes turned out to the side. We don't want to do that. We want to get the foot straight here. And then I'm going to simply step forward a little bit and increase this angle on my ankle. Now with my knee straight, I'm going to feel a good calf stretch as I'm doing this. So it's going to be kind of in that meat of the lower leg. And I can do a little bit of supinating and pronating. So I can move my foot a little bit side to side, and I might feel a little bit more of a stretch into the posterior tibialis or the perineal, which are lateral components of the ankle that we released in the second thing that we did today. And I can also bend my knee a little bit as I'm doing this. And now I'm going to shift the stretch more to the Achilles, more toward the soleus. So I'll feel it a little bit more down in the, just above the ankle as opposed to more in the meat of the calf when I go into that knee bend there. But that's going to open up that ankle. Now, we've been hitting that for about 30 seconds. Let's move to the other side. Same thing, get that foot straight. And with the knee straight in this position, we can move our foot a little bit in and out, supinate, pronate. Keep breathing through our belly here. And now we can bend that knee a little bit and extend it, bend that knee and extend it, getting a little bit of a dynamic stretch toward that Achilles, toward that soleus there. And again, if you want to keep hanging out here a little bit longer, you're more than welcome to, but otherwise, we just hit that 30-second mark on that lower leg. And now we have taken some really good time to prepare this lower third of our body for success in our 2022 New Year's resolution. So I would love, guys, if you would comment, let me know if whatever you feel comfortable with. You don't need to give me all your details, but if you have some resolutions that you're looking to achieve, some things on the fitness and health side, whether that's I want to heal from a certain injury, I want to stop this recurring pain, finally stop treating symptoms, I want this thing to actually feel stable, I want to rebalance and move well and just get back to an active life, or whether there's some type of fitness component. I want to be able to exercise X amount of days per week consistently and lose my 10 pounds, or I want to get back to playing this sport, or I want to hit the slopes during this great ski and snowboarding season that we still have for the remainder of this winter. All the above. What are your goals? What are you looking to achieve? What are you looking to heal from? I'd love to hear from you. Feel free to write them in the comments. If you had any questions while we were doing stuff, if anything felt weird, if you didn't know if you were doing it right, if you wanted to ask about something specific that you're dealing with in your body, type them away. Let me know in the comments, whether you're watching the replay, whether you've been watching this live. I'd be happy to help. We'll be checking these comments. And like I said, for the next couple of days, we're going to go to part 2 around the hips and the back. We're going to do a very similar, hey Peggy, we're going to be doing a very similar release strategy, but we're going to be doing it to a different section of the body. And then we'll finish off with the shoulders and the neck. Again, whether you actually are dealing with issues, with quote unquote injuries around these areas, I highly recommend that you do all of these 3 parts, not just cherry picking 1 or 2 of them, because the whole body is interconnected. And it's really easy to tell whether it's important for you to work on this or not. If you get onto these areas, if you get on that foam roller, if you get on that trigger point ball and it hurts, that means you got gunk in it and it's impacting something else in your body and how you move. So address it all. That's how we take this holistic approach. That's what really makes a difference between cherry picking and symptom chasing versus truly finding the root causes of these tensions that are pulling on us. And then if we can get into, hey Robin, if we can get into the actual corrective strategies, the functional exercise that teaches our body how to use these ranges of motion properly, then that's where we really have this completed equation. We got all the tensions out of us, we got the mobility back to where we need to be, and we can now move with that new range of motion effectively. So that's what we are building toward, at least on the mobility side in this 3-part series. We will be given resources on the functional exercise side as well, but that'll come at the end of part 3. Hope you guys enjoyed this live on Facebook and or YouTube, and look forward to seeing you guys on Tuesday and Wednesday. It'll be the same time. Both days are going to be 8 a.m. Pacific, so that's 11 a.m. Eastern, on both Tuesday and Wednesday for our parts 2 and 3 on hips and back and shoulders and neck. Talk to y'all soon.